Hey guys, this is Miss Mo. We're on 13.2. 13.2 starts off like 13.1 with some conversions. Let me explain what this little chart means. 1 acre is 4,000 blah 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 square inch. This square inch means meters squared. That's what square m means. It means square miles. Okay, 1 acre is blah, 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 square feet, as in feet with a tiny 2. 1 hectare is 2.47 acres. No tiny 2 in the air. Yeah, I bet you didn't even know there was such thing as a hectare. Then a hectare is 10,000 square meters. Let's see. Anytime you see the word square, it means put a tiny 2 in the air. Okay. And the reason we have a tiny 2 in the air is because area represents the part inside the shape, as in two-dimensional, as in length times width or base times height. And that's where you get that tiny 2 in the air, from 2 dimensions being multiplied together. Okay, so part A says complete. Let's see, we got 4,000 feet squared, and it has to get to yard squared. Okay, so let's see if we have anything that involves feet squared and yard squared. Here's feet squared, no yard squared. Here's yard squared, no feet squared, dang it. Okay, here's yard squared. Here's square mile. And then we have 1 yard is 3 feet. Okay. Oops, I spelled it wrong. Okay, so we don't have a conversion that goes straight from feet to yards, but is there something that I could use to get me there? So, for example, here's square feet, okay? It's 43,000 whatever, okay? Square feet leads me to acres. Now the question is, could acres lead me to square yards? Well, let's look if anything says acre equals square yards. Acre equals square yards. So that's how we're going to get there. We're going to have to use 2 conversions. The first sucker that we're going to use is we're going to say, okay, I want this feet squared to disappear, so I'm going to put it on the bottom so that it'll cancel. Okay, then we have 43,560 feet squared, and that's 1 acre. Okay, well, before I do the number math, the word math, the feet squareds cancel, because one of them is multiplying and one of them's under a division bar. But when they cancel, all we have left is acres. We want yard squared. So let's keep going. Let's find something that goes from acres to yards. And here it is right here. We have acres and square yards. Okay, well, we want the acre to go away. So it's not going to go on the top because it's already on the top. We want it to go on the bottom so that it'll cancel out. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to that acre that had to do with square yards. Here it is. 1 acre. 1 acre is 4840 square yards. Okay, now we're going to put this all in the calculator. You're going to do 4,000 times 1 times 4840. We're just multiplying the tops. Then you're going to divide by 43,560, and then divide by whatever else is on your denominator, 1. So we're going to have 4,000 times 1 times 4840 divided by 43,560 divided by 1. Hey, I got 444. Yep. Wait, let me see if I type this in right. Let me try using parentheses. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we get 444.44 yards squared. And on your homework, you would want to check to see what they ask you to round to. Okay, let's go to part B. Part B says 10 to the 7th yards squared equals miles squared. Well, let's see if we have anything that takes us straight from a square yard to a square mile. Okay, let's look for a square yard. Here it is. Square yard takes me to square mile. That's what I want. Okay, so let's say we have 10 to the 7th yard squared. We're going to multiply it by a fraction. And when I multiply it by a fraction, that yard squared wants to disappear. So I'm going to put it on the bottom. Okay, and we said that yard squared, 1.19 yard squared is 1 square mile, or mi squared, miles squared. Okay, well, let's see what happens. The yard squares cancel, and then in our calculator, we're going to press 10 caret 7, or if we don't have this type of calculator, 10 caret 7 or 10 exponent 7 means we have 7 more zeros on this. 7 more zeros. Yeah. Over 1.19. So if you were wondering what that 10 to the 7th is, it's 10 with 7 zeros after it. Oh, crap. 10 times 2. Okay, and then actually it's not 7 zeros. Let me count. 10 to the 7. I can't count these zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 10 with 7 zeros. My bad. 7 zeros total. So not this little back end. Just 7 zeros total. Okay, now let's divide it. And we get 84,03361.35. And you'll have to see what they want you to round to. And this is miles squared. So we took 10 million square yards and we turned it into 8,403 square miles. Okay, let's look at part C. Part C says 23 square miles. And we have to go to acres. So let's see if there's anything here that says square miles to acres. Oh, it's this very first guy. Square miles. Okay, so we're going to multiply by a fraction with the square miles underneath so that it will cancel. Okay, so we know that 4,046.86 square miles is 1 acre. Okay, then the square miles cancel, and we do 23 times 1 divided by 4046.86. And I get 0.006 acres. And on your homework, you'll have to see what to round it to. And again, that square mile canceled. Okay, let's look at part D. Part D says 3 acres, 2 square feet. So let's see what has acres and square feet. Not this first sucker, but the second one. It says 1 acre. So that's what I'm going to put on the bottom because I want the acre to disappear. Is equal to 43,560 square feet. Okay. And then the acre cancels on the top and the bottom. And we multiply 3 times. And we get 130680 feet squared. Yay. Okay, so when you're trying to get things to cancel, the canceling part goes on the bottom. And then all these fractions that I made up came from this information up above. Okay. Now let's talk about actual area of a shape. For a triangle that has a right angle in it, from its height to the base, if it creates a right angle, which it will, the area is 1/2 base times height, and the base is the whole thing along the bottom. The height is that up and down piece of the triangle. Okay? And all 3 of these homework problems look like different triangles, but we use the same formula. Okay, let's look at this part A. It says find the area of ABC. That's the whole thing. ABC. Okay, in each of the drawings. Okay, well, we're going to have A equals 1/2 base times height. So that's A equals 1/2. My base is 19, and my height is up and down 3. And you can say 1/2 times 19 times 3, or I just put a 0.5 in there because I'm lazy. And you get 28.5. That's our area. Our units are centimeter. And remember, area has squared on it because we're multiplying 2 dimensions, a base and a height. So we have to show that this is in 2 dimensions, or squared for area. Okay, let's look at part B. It looks different, but it's the same thing. We have a triangle. There is a right angle. It looks kind of in a strange spot, but it's okay. We still have 1/2 base times height. Our base is still 6. Whoops. Our base is still 6. Our height looks a little different, but it's 5. It's just like they took the height here and they kicked it out to the left. Okay, anyway, so our formula is 1/2 base height. So 1/2 times 6 times 5. And I think that's 15. Okay, what are the units? cm. Put a squared on it to show that it's 2-dimensional, and done with that sucker. Okay, let's look at this guy. This guy threw me for a loop. Okay. Yeah. First, let's pick out all the shapes we know. I see this little blue right triangle. That's very exciting. Yep, okay. And then this shape on the right, I don't see anything. It's weird. It's like a trapezoid. What we're going to do is we're going to create one more triangle this way. Okay, so here's one more triangle this way. Okay, then this piece out to the right on the top is actually a right triangle. It's another triangle. It kind of is hard to see it, but it's another right triangle. It's hard to see because it just doesn't make sense, but that little box means it's a right angle. Okay, so first let's find the area of, let's say, this green triangle. It's 1/2 base times height. And the base of this green triangle is going to be the 14. Because it's kind of like the triangle is supposed to be sitting here. And that's supposed to be a right angle. And then the 10 is the height. And for that, I think we get 140 divided by 2, 70. So this green guy is 70. Okay. Let's look at this little tiny triangle right here. Okay. The height is 2, but this 22 represents the whole base, all the way from the left to the right. So we have to figure out what this little bitty portion is right here. Okay? And we have to figure out what just the base of this orange triangle is going to be. Well, the base of this orange triangle is going to be 22 minus however much base this smaller triangle is. And it's going to be a 2 because this height is a 2. So let's find the area of this little blue triangle. It's going to be 1/2 times 2 and 2. And we know that the base is 2 because that height is 2. Okay, if we multiply all this together, we get 4 divided by 2. Alright, now let's look at the area for this orange triangle. We're going to have 1/2 base times height. Well, the height is definitely 2, but the base is no longer 22 because the whole base is 22. The base for this orange triangle is 22 minus this little blue portion, so minus 2, or 20. Okay, so this orange triangle, the base of it is 22 minus that little smidge 2. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be 40 divided by 20. Now we're going to add them all up. The green triangle, 70, plus the 2 from the blue triangle, plus the 20 from the orange triangle makes 92. Okay, what are our dimensions? Centimeters. And we're centimeters squared because we multiplied 2 dimensions together, or we're 2-dimensional. Okay, let's keep going. This next sucker says formula for area of the square. Okay, and the formula for area of a square is S times S, or S squared. Let's look at this example. It says the area of a square region is 81 yards. What is the perimeter? Okay, well, my area is S times S. And it says it is 81. So the capital A is 81. Now we have to figure out what 2 numbers multiply together to get 81. Well, I know that 27 times 3 is 81. It is, yeah. But I need 2 of the same numbers. S, same numbers. So what two of the same numbers multiply together to get 81? And the answer is 9. The two numbers that multiply together that are the same are the numbers 9. So that means our side of this square is 9. Okay. So if we have a square with 9 all the way around it, the rest of the question said, what is the perimeter? Okay, well, perimeter means add everything up around it. So 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9. You add everything around it. And that'll be 36. Yeah. Okay, and that's our perimeter. What dimensions do we have? Yards. But here's the thing. Perimeter is not two-dimensional. It's one-dimensional. It just represents the outside. If we were talking about area, then that has a tiny 2 in the middle because it represents all the space inside. So area is squared, perimeter is not. Okay, let's go to this rectangle. It says a rectangular field is 27 by 22 meters. Find its area in meters squared and in HA. That means hectares. Okay, well, let's do this. Our rectangle is 27 and 22. We know the area is length times width. So 22 times 27 is 594. Okay, so when I did my length times width, I got 594. What are my units? Meters, meters. Area is squared because it's two-dimensional. We multiplied two dimensions together. So this is my area. But now it says find it in meters squared, which we did. So this is for sure an answer. Yeah. But then it also says hectares. So I don't even know if I'm saying that right. So let's take that 594 miles squared and convert it to hectares. If I want to, or hectare, whatever. If I want to convert it to a hectare, I want this m squared to go away. So I'm going to put it in the bottom so that he'll cancel away. Okay, let's go see if I can find something that has meters squared and a hectare. Where's that miles squared? That might be miles. Let's go see. Oh, here it is. Okay. 1 hectare is 10,000 square meters. Or I think that's miles. Okay. So we're going to say 1 hectare is worth 10,000 square meters or miles, whatever that says. Okay. The meter squared cancel. And now in our calculator, we're just going to do 594 times 1 divided by 10,000. Or you can do it in your head, and it'll just make the decimal move left 4 places. Either way, we get 0.0594. And this is in hectares, or HA. And hectares, or HA, are not squared. The only thing that are squared are the things with the SQ on it. So this hectare does not have a SQ on it. Alright, let's keep going. The next kind of shape is any kind of funky shape. This one kind of looks like a stop sign, but the formula is A equals 1/2 PA. P is the perimeter around the shape. A is the apothem, or it's kind of like a radius, sort of. You could kind of think of it that way. Yeah. Okay, and the formula for area is you multiply those two together. So, let's look at this first picture, part A. I'm going to have capital A equals 1/2 PA. Well, P is the perimeter. Okay, well, let's think about this. If we look at part A, that 4 centimeters describes one side. And I want to know all the sides if you add them up. So it's like there's 4s on all these sides. And if you add them up, the P is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. 24. So we know what our capital P is. It's 24. Okay, now let me find what little a is. Little a is like your apothem, or your radius. So this 2 square root of 3 is your little a. Okay, the way we're going to do this is we're going to multiply all the normal numbers together. So 0.5 times 24 times 2 in the calculator. And that should give you 24. So my area is 24, but then remember when I did not type in that square root of 3? Now I'm going to tack it on at the back end. This is called the exact answer, if your homework was looking for it. If your homework is looking for a decimal, that's when we actually type this in. 24 square root 3. 41.7. And on your homework, you need to see what they want you to round to. Okay, what measurement was this? We were in centimeters. And area means squared. So for part A, the exact is what you get when you type all the stuff in the calculator except for that dirty house. The decimal is what you get in the calculator when you plug in everything, even the square root 3. Okay, let's go to part B. Part B is a triangle. We know how to find the area of a triangle. It's 1/2 base times height. So we're going to have 1/2, and the base of this triangle is that 10. The height of this triangle is 5 square root 3. Okay, and then if they want the exact answer, you put the stuff in the calculator that does not have the house. So like 1/2 is 0.5 times 10 times 5. That makes 25. And then you tack on that square root of 3. If you want the decimal, you type the whole thing in, 25 square root 3, and we get 43.3-ish. Okay, what are our dimension, or what are my units? My units are centimeters, and this is area, so I'm 2-dimensional. And again, pay attention to what your homework wants you to round to. Okay, the last one that we're going to do together is redonkulous. Woo. Yeah, look at this. Okay, the last thing we need to know is that the area of a circle is pi r squared, where r is the radius. All right, let's check out part A. Part A says find the area of each of the shaded regions Assume all arcs are circular with centers marked. Okay, so we want to know the area of just this shaded region. Well, let's see here. We can find the area of the big circle minus the area of the little minus the area of the other little circle. Yeah, so we're going to take the big guy, his area, then we're going to subtract off these little guys, and it should give me what's left over. Okay, so let's look at this big circle, the huge circle. For the whole circle, we want to find the radius. So the radius is from the center out. Yeah, that's the radius. Well, we know that a half of the white circle is 5. So the other half of the white circle is 5. So that means the radius for the big circle is 10. So for this huge big circle, the radius is 10. Okay, the area is pi r squared. So we're going to have pi times 10 squared, because that's the radius of the whole circle. Okay, let's go ahead and multiply this. 10 squared makes 100, and we're going to leave it with the letter pi, or the symbol pi. Okay, now let's look at these little circles. The little circle, the formula is pi r squared. Well, what's our r? Our radius of this little white circle is 5. And we're going to subtract that off twice because there's 2 little white circles. Okay, so let's see here. We have pi times 5 squared, and that makes 25 with a pi. And then the area of the other little circle is the same. Okay, now we're going to subtract them. So 100 minus 25 is 75. Minus another 25 is 50. So we have 50 pi. And that's the exact. If you want the decimal, you take 50 and multiply it by 3.14. And we get 157. So if they ask for the word exact, leave the pi. If they don't, then put the whole thing in the calculator and use 3.14 or the pi button for pi. Okay, let's look at part B. Part B, we want only the shaded region. So let's talk about the semicircle first. Okay, the semicircle, the area of him is going to be the area of a regular circle, but half of it. Yeah. So the area of this semicircle is going to be the area of a circle, pi r squared, but half of it, because it's half the circle. Okay, so what is the r of this semicircle? It's from the center out to the edge, or 1. So we're going to have 1/2 pi parentheses 1 squared. And then let's multiply all the numbers together. 1 squared is 1 times 1/2 is 0.5 pi. Yeah, or half pi. All right. So now, let's see here. We need to find the area of this triangle, and we're going to add it. So let's find the area of this triangle. To find the area of this gray triangle, we're going to do 1/2 base times height, or 1/2. The base is the same base as this other side. It's still 1. Because if this is a semicircle, and one of the radius is 1, to the left is 1 also. So my base is 1. My height is this 2 centimeters. Okay, so let's see what this gets. We get 1/2 times 1 times 2. That's 1. Okay, and we have to add them together. Okay, so if they want an exact answer, like still with the pi's and everything, you're going to put 1/2 pi plus 1. If they want a decimal, that's when we can actually put it in the calculator. 0.5 times 3.14 plus 1, 2.57. Okay, and we are in centimeters, and we're squared. All these have been centimeters squared. Okay, let's look at C and D. They look terrifying, but it's okay. Okay, let's look at this yin-yang symbol. This yin-yang symbol, I think we can all agree that the white part is half of the circle, and the gray part is half of the circle. Yeah. So this yin-yang is half of the circle. You can't quite tell, it doesn't quite match, but this little gray part up here, this half hump, we could put it down here, and hey, there's my half of a circle. Okay, either way, half of a circle means area of a circle is pi r squared, but we want half of it. Okay, now let's figure out the radius of this circle. Well, if this little line segment is 1, another segment is another 1. Add those up, and that's your radius of a 2. So your radius is from the center all the way out. So we're going to have 1/2 pi times 2 squared. And I think that makes 2 pi, and that's the exact. If you want a decimal, you type 2 times 3.14 in your calculator, and you get 6.28. And all of these are centimeters squared. Okay, let's look at D. D's a little bit more awkward. Okay, for D, first let's find the area of the whole thing. Okay, so we know the height is 10, but halfway is just 5. Okay. So let's find the area of this huge thing. If the area of this huge thing is going to be length times width, or side times side, if you can see that it's a square. And the area of the whole thing, the whole length, is 10. The whole width is 10. So that makes 100. So that's the area of this big white square. Now, to find the area of these little petals, we're going to say that these petals can be written as, they kind of look like a circle, like the top half of a circle. So the closest thing we can get is to say that half of this petal is a semicircle. That's the closest thing we can get. So the area of this shaded is going to be the whole white square, which is 100, minus 4 leaves, but each leaf consists of 1 semicircle and then 2 semicircle. Okay, so that's 2 semicircles for each leaf. 2, 4, 6, 8. So we're going to say minus 8. And we're going to pretend that these are semicircles. So a semicircle we find by doing half of pi r squared. Because pi r squared is a circle, half of a circle is, you put a 1/2 on it, okay? And I know these don't quite look like circles, but it's the closest thing we got. Okay, so our r is the same as this halfway piece of 5. So this 5 should be the halfway piece, how long the halfway pieces are. So we're going to say 100 minus 8 times 1/2 pi, and then 5 squared. So let's see what this is going to give me. This is going to give me 100 minus, what's 8 times 1/2? That's 4 pi. And then what's 5 squared? That's 25 pi. This is wrong.